Barbara Payton wielded her beauty like a weapon, and Hollywood ate it up. If her name isn't well known today, it may be because of her disturbing end. But more on this later. Barbara was born in the city of Cloquet, Minnesota, on May 8, 1927. Life immediately dealt Payton a terrible hand. Her father was emotionally closed off and distant from Payton and her sibling, meaning her mother had to wrangle the kids all by herself. On top of being emotionally unavailable, Payton's parents suffered from a nasty drinking problem, something that later haunted Payton into adulthood. As little Payton grew up, one thing about her stood out: her nearly surreal beauty. At the young age of 11, Payton's family moved to Odessa, Texas, and immediately her looks became the talk of the town. Payton finally got the attention she craved, and along the way, she found out how to use her beauty to her advantage. Payton soon discovered that her beauty captivated men, and it allowed her to get nearly anything she wanted. For Payton, that usually meant seducing boys in order to get into movie theaters for free. She loved watching films and soon began to fall in love with the idea of escaping Odessa and going to Hollywood to become an actress. Payton's rebellious nature earned her the ire of her father, but he feared her as well. In Payton's own words, "I think the day my father realized I was a girl, a real feminine girl, he became afraid of me." Her relationship with her father continued to grow increasingly rocky, even throughout her high school years. What Payton ended up doing next when she turned 16 certainly didn't make their relationship any better. In November of 1943, Payton eloped with her then-boyfriend, a boy named William Hodge. Her parents immediately demanded that Payton annul the marriage. Shockingly, she accepted their demand with little fuss. But that wasn't the end of Payton's brush with married life. 2 years later, Payton tied the knot with someone that changed her life. In 1944, Barbara met John Payton, a decorated pilot. A year later, the couple eloped. This time, Payton's parents approved of the marriage, hoping that the pilot could control their unruly, adventure-hungry daughter. Payton, of course, refused to let anyone control her. If anything, she only got more wild. After Payton and her new hubby finished walking down the aisle, the two headed off for their honeymoon destination, Hollywood. As soon as Payton caught her first glimpses of the bright lights of Hollywood, she knew this was her home. She felt deep in her bones that she needed to find a way into the film industry. When her honeymoon ended, Payton had a disturbing surprise for her new husband. She sent the poor, bewildered man home by himself. Payton was going to find a way to become a star. While staying at the Knickerbocker Hotel in Hollywood, Payton got her chance at acting. The elevator boy introduced Payton to Bobby Griffith, a casting director for RKO Pictures. At the end of the meeting, Griffith gave Payton the chance to learn acting at the RKO school, followed by a screen test a few weeks later. Payton threw herself into acting school and absolutely loved every minute of it. She practiced scenes from plays, listed lectures on drama, and for once was an attentive student. The only thing that held her back was a strange sudden illness that had her sick every morning. Still, Payton pressed on. When the day of the screen test rolled around, Payton was ready, until she suddenly blacked out on set. Payton later received some devastating news. She was pregnant. She burst into tears. Having a baby would completely put the brakes on her plan to be a film star. Griffith, who believed in Payton's talent, told Payton to have the baby and come back in a year. Although distraught, Payton did just that. The next year was a hard one for Payton. She wrote out her pregnancy and gave birth to a son, John Lee, on March 14, 1947. Not long after, Payton was already trying to find jobs in Hollywood again, which spelled doom for her marriage. With Payton's career keeping her extremely busy, her marriage began to fall by the wayside. Payton's hyper-focus on self-promotion and networking left little room for her husband, and by July 1948, the two separated. Payton filed for divorce soon after. Now free to do basically whatever she wanted, Payton decided to once again charm her way into becoming a movie star, using any means necessary. Payton began hitting up the nightclubs along the Sunset Strip, networking with executives wherever she went. However, Payton soon came to a disturbing realization. She learned that networking wasn't as simple as sitting down with the executives for a professional meeting. Usually, networking involved going to bed with these executives in exchange for movie roles. Payton didn't let this stop her. In January 1949, Payton put William Gotts, an executive at Universal Studios, under her spell. He quickly signed her on and gave Payton her first film role in Silver Butte. While the film didn't exactly shoot her into instant stardom, Payton knew it was her first step towards fame. Pretty soon after Silver Butte, Payton got a co-starring role in a film noir called Trapped. It was a huge step up for Payton, but she wanted more. This drive led her to her next dangerous relationship. When Barbara Payton wasn't making movies, she traveled all over the country on publicity tours. During one of these tours, Payton met Bob Hope, beloved actor and known womanizer. She stood and faced Payton one bit. Instead, she came up with a devious plan. Payton used his taste for beautiful women to her advantage. They began an affair, which led to Hope setting Payton up in an apartment in Hollywood. As their relationship blossomed, Payton pressed Hope to be more generous towards her and more attentive. Hope never managed to satisfy Payton, and eventually he grew sick and tired of her demands. Hope paid Payton off to end the affair quietly, but Payton didn't manage to end the relationship without suffering any ill consequences. Universal Studios ended up canning her because of the affair. But luckily for Payton, her rising stardom meant more roles were just around the corner. With 2 movie roles under her belt, getting her foot in the door of Hollywood's top film studios got much easier. In 1950, news reached Payton that Cagney Productions needed a blonde for the film, Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye. For the role, Payton needed to embody Holiday Carlton, a seductive, sensual moll. Payton embodied the role both in front of and behind the cameras. She spent her time on set, stumbling around and speaking informally with the cast and crew. With her newfound fame, Payton got her pick of film roles and her pick of famous men. Despite her critically acclaimed role as Holiday Carlton in Kiss Tomorrow, Goodbye, Payton was in for a huge disappointment. Her next roles got her little attention. She appeared in Dallas in 1950, Only the Valiant in 1951, and Bride of the Gorilla that same year. But the movies were less than impressive. To compensate, Payton dated every big-name male star she could to bolster her fame. For a while, she viewed romance as purely transactional, until she met someone that changed her mind. That man was Tom Neal, who Payton described as a beautiful hunk of man. Payton discovered Neal was nearly the perfect man for her. While he wasn't particularly famous, he fulfilled all her other needs. There was just one thing that he refused to do for her. Although Barbara Payton and Tom Neal loved each other dearly, Neal refused to marry her. Payton's expensive tastes made her an expensive wife, and Neal just couldn't afford all the material things that Payton wanted. Disappointed, Payton left for New York to partake in a Broadway play alongside an actor named French Tone. Payton hoped that being a part would cause Neal to have a change of heart. Instead, Payton received a proposal from someone else entirely. During her stint on Broadway, Tone ended up falling head over heels in love with her. Before long, he proposed, even though he knew that Payton's heart belonged to Neal. Payton held off, hoping that Neal might eventually propose, but that never happened. So Payton made a devastating decision. With a heavy heart, Payton accepted Tone's proposal, but her new fiancé insisted that the 3 of them talk it out first. Unsurprisingly, their meeting ended in disaster. Payton told the press that she was going to marry Tone and leave Neal for good. In September of 1951, the two officially wed, but instead of a fairy tale, it was a total horror story. Neil's intensity and mixed feelings over Payton's past caused a huge strain on the relationship, leaving Payton feeling anxious and strained. By the following year, the two split, and Payton went straight back to Neil. This relationship did little to improve her career. As soon as Neil landed in England, Payton went back to his side. But Payton's lover came with his own set of problems. Neil never settled down in one place for too long, and Payton, determined to follow him to the ends of the earth, left behind several promising roles in order to travel with Neil. During her travels, Payton managed to snag acting roles in small productions alongside Neil, such as The Postman, Always Rings Twice, and The Great Jesse James Raid. While Payton did well in these smaller productions, things changed when the pair returned to Hollywood. Neither Payton nor Neil found acting jobs. The two began fighting increasingly often until they called it quits. Payton was alone once again, and things didn't end well for her. Payton's inability to find acting roles in her heavy drinking meant that her financial reserves ran dry once again by 1955. Payton couldn't curb her drinking, though, despite her lack of funds. Eventually, a desperate Payton wrote a bad check to a supermarket in order to purchase large quantities of booze. In a humiliating turn of events, the authorities caught Payton and charged her with a $100 fine. From here, Payton's life continued to slide downhill. Payton didn't have much luck in securing film roles. One particular producer then made a proposal that signaled the beginning of the end for Payton. While on a date with this particular producer, Payton asked him, point blank, for a role in his next film. Instead, the producer made a disturbing proposal. He said that she should just sleep with him, and he would pay her directly for her services. In need of cash, Payton accepted his offer. She told herself that sleeping with men for cash was going to be temporary, but she knew deep down that this was far from reality. This got her caught up with the wrong crowd. After sleeping with a string of men, Barbara Payton met a man she nicknamed Dick Fortune, who took a liking to her. Fortune wasn't just any ordinary man, though. He was a powerful gangster in the gambling town of Searchlight, Nevada. One night, an official who owed her a favor asked Payton to meet with him. At their meeting spot, he gave her some grave news. The authorities were about to raid Fortune's properties in a few days. Afraid that the raid would land her in hot water, Payton slept with several men in rapid succession to make enough money to get back to Hollywood. She then quickly flew back to Los Angeles, only to make a horrifying discovery. By the 1960s, Payton's drinking and newly acquired addiction to illicit substances rapidly made it difficult for her to command high prices for her nightly services. Her condition worsened when her lack of money forced her to live in squalor on Sunset Boulevard. Payton's drinking eventually got so bad that the authorities found her passed out near a dumpster on Sunset Boulevard in February 1967. They offered to get her a spot in a detoxification unit, but Payton flatly refused the offer, declaring that she would rather drink her life away. With little recourse, a county social worker drove Payton to her parents' home in San Diego, hoping they would help. This decision ultimately sealed Payton's fate. When the social worker dropped Payton with her parents, their reaction was chilling. Far from helping Payton curb her heavy drinking, Payton's parents actually encouraged it. The three of them engaged in long drinking binges that only made Payton's condition worse. Payton even remarked to a neighbor that, quote, "I never wanted to be with them. I never wanted to see them again. But here I am, and I got all the booze I want." On May 8, 1967, after years of battling with her inner demons, Payton's heart and liver failed at the age of 39. They cremated her and entered her ashes in San Diego. Payton experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, which cut her promising acting career short. Although her time on this earth was brief, Many remember the actress as a gregarious individual who lived life to its fullest. If you enjoyed this Factinate video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. Want a say in who we cover next? Join our membership program through the link in the description for exclusive perks. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.